All right, line them up. It's election day.
Aptitude, expertise, genius, gift.
I'm the fucking talent. Hey, what's happening? Mike Schmidt, 40-Year-Old Boy podcast. Here we are, folks. We're in the control center. I'm calling it the nerve center of this year's elections, 2024. I don't know if you've heard, there's a thing going on today. And I say today, and look, I will tell you this, my whole idea for this was I'm like, hey, I'm going to do an election day podcast. And then the next day I'll do like a part 2 as we kind of recap everything, right? Talk about what the fuck happened. Only here's the issue. And I think you know this. We're not going to know anything tomorrow. And also, I don't know when you listen to this. You could listen to this in a fucking month. You know what? I don't think you will. Well, depending on how the election goes, you could be listening to this in a month. If one side wins, we may not have electricity in a month. I'm just going to throw that out there. I actually texted that to a buddy of mine. I go watch hockey over at Gilmartin's house sometimes, and I'm like, hey, man, if we still have electricity in this country on Wednesday, I'm down for the Hawks. I haven't heard back, so perhaps he's a political prisoner somewhere, or he's in line. Folks, if you're in line, stay in line. I love reading that. Let me throw this out there to you at all costs. If you're in line, what the fuck is wrong with you? And I don't mean that in a who cares who votes type of way. I mean that in a Jesus Christ, can't you just mail in your ballot or vote early type of way? And I recognize, look, that's my California privilege, my white guy privilege, whatever kind of privilege it is, that I can go ahead, get a vote ballot in the mail, fill it out at my desk at my leisure, and then take it into to be counted through a vote drop box. I don't know how many states do that. Apparently, I mean, look, there's a lot of disenfranchised people out there. We know this. I'm disenfranchised, and I don't even know from what. I just know that I'm a free agent floating out there looking for something to believe in. I'm like Poison, folks. I'm like Bret Michaels. Give me something to believe in. It's a song by Poison that if you don't know, Poison sings songs like "Don't Need Nothing But a Good Time." And then they sang a song called "Oh My God, Like What the Cat Dragged In," which I think is the metal ethos completely perfectly summed up. Oh my God, like what the cat dragged in, living my life, sin after sin. Night goes up and we do it again. Night comes up. I don't remember. Fuck. I can't remember. I'm sad that I can't remember Poison lyrics. Night rolls up. Night rolls up and we do it again. Oh my God. Look what the cat dragged in. Now that's good. All right. That's metal ethos. But the first lines of the song are key. Wait, hotel, motel, hotel bed. Wait, I know. How sad is this? I'm trying to pull Poison lyrics. How terrible. I woke up too late, got home too soon. No, got home too late, woke up too soon. I don't know, something about noon, 1:30 noon. And he wakes up with two girls in his bed. You know damn well you slept with both last night. Oh my God. Look what the cat dragged in. Why the fuck did I bring up Poison? Oh, you know why? Here's the thing. They sang that song and then they sang Nothing But a Good Time. And then they sang Unskinny Bop, which I think is about fucking without a condom. All right. That's a song that they wrote. And then out of nowhere, they wrote a song about farms. What the fuck are you doing, man? I know you want to make that leap, and I know you want to put on your serious headband. You're tired of wearing your fun headbands. You're tired of wearing your let's party headbands, and you want to put on your serious headband, Brett. And you want to sing about death and farms, and good for you. But it was jarring. And I will tell you this: I like the song. I'm not coming down on them. I don't have any talent for writing songs. I can tell you this: if I did attempt to write a song, not about a farm. I'm going to write more about fucking two chicks, even though I've never done it at one time. But boy, that's something to put on your bucket list, right? A lot of people want to go skydiving. Fuck that. I want to dive. All right. I want to go double muff diving. That's what I want to do. I want to eat two pussies at the same time. Can you do that? Can you stack two girls on top of one another and just bury your face right there in the fucking sweet spot and go to work? Oh, dude, right there in the strike zone, just blam, right in and just fucking just, and you know what? Your tongue might not even need to be involved if you're eating two pussies like that. Two pussies at the same time, you just plunge in and you just, it's almost like doing the Brumbaruski or whatever the fuck in a girl's tits. This took a turn. Wow. All of a sudden I'm poisoned. What the fuck am I doing? We're in the nerve center, for fuck's sake. How am I, why would I have the balls to talk like this in the nerve center? People are angry at me. They're very upset and I don't blame them. Poison wrote a song about farms. After writing about their dicks for fucking, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, whatever the fuck. There's a guy in that band named Ricky Rocket, and I'm supposed to believe they care about crops? Fuck that. But whatever. Good for them and good for Ricky Rocket. You know, I actually heard this. I heard that Ricky Rocket wasn't really the drummer. I heard that for a while. Because there was all sorts of rumors all the time about bands like that. Like there was a rumor that... who was it? The guy from Faster Pussycat, Brent Muscat, the guitarist, that he was incapable of playing guitar, but he was really good looking and they liked him in the band. So they covered for him with I don't know if they used a track or if they just had an ugly guy hiding behind the amps. You know, because look, you have to do that. If you got the good looking guy who can't play guitar and you're like, we got to cover for this guy. You know what you do? You got to get an ugly guy. Because otherwise, why not just hire the other good looking guy who can play guitar and tell Brent Muscat to take a fucking walk? Brent Muscat he had a good bone structure in his face. Go Google him. Google Brent Muscat. I will say this. Maybe he looked good because he was sitting next to Tie Me Down. I don't know. Perhaps he just looked good because Tie Me Down was a freaky looking dude, if I remember correctly. And it was metal too. A lot of guys got fucking, braids and shit and they're doing nonsense and wearing, as I've mentioned, any number of headbands for any number of subjects. You think Brett keeps them that way? He's got a drawer of serious headbands, got a drawer of party headbands, got another drawer for pondering headbands. He just sits in his house and writes lyrics. What's he writing about now? Did he? Because he turned country. I don't know if you know this. Bret Michaels has never left our consciousness. He has judged reality shows. He has been on Masked Singers. He has written songs and gone country. And for some reason, he's just the guy. They still pay attention to him. I don't know why. Maybe he's a good guy. Didn't he get his face all fucked up? Didn't he get they just hooked him up to a bicycle pump and pumped his face up to gigantic sizes? I believe they did. He's got a big fucking Easter Island head now, Bret Michaels. You know what? Try to get a headband around that fucking skull on Easter Island. How does Bret Michaels do it? He's got to have him custom made. You ever watch a football game and they do the national anthem and they have a flag that covers the whole field? That's where Bret Michaels gets his headbands made. They make the flags for the football games, for the flyovers, and then they make giant headbands for Bret Michaels' Easter Island skull. And quite frankly, I don't know, when Bret Michaels shows up, they should do a flyover. The Blue Angels. Why not? Because he's fucking serious, and obviously he cares about the troops because he's country now. That's another thing. The second you start putting chewing tobacco in your mouth and singing about your fucking truck, you immediately care about the troops. Sort of. All right, it's the nerve center. We know this. It's I got a little lost there, certainly. So the idea was I was going to do a show today and talk about, and look, here's the deal. Last week we did a show and it was the airing of the grievances, essentially. It was a kind of a Festivus podcast where I explained a little bit about what's going on in my skull and what isn't going on in my skull and how fucked up things are and they're not fucked up, but you know what I mean? Whatever. I've been dismantled internally, but now, I'm back here's the thing. I didn't want to do, but I was just going to say, I don't want to do a totally serious show about politics because I talked about it a lot last week, but we've already talked about Bret Michaels' fucking dick for 5 minutes, I think. Did we even mention his cock? I don't know if we did. I've seen it. That's another thing too. I've seen Bret Michaels fucking. I sit here, I'm wondering why do people still they care about Bret Michaels? I watched him fuck. I watched him get a fucking blowjob from Pamela Anderson. God damn it. What's wrong with me? Boy, but I used to Jones for those whenever there's a sex tape. And look, it's Pam Anderson. If you can watch Pam Anderson give head to anybody, she dated Julian Assange for a while. I'm in. I'd watch a fucking spy get blown. I'm all for that, man. Let's tune in. If there's a video float, look, I'm going to say, and in the true spirit of Julian Assange, if anyone wants to leak me the secret videotape of him getting blown by Pamela Anderson, I'll blow the whistle. She blew Assange and I'll blow the whistle on the whole goddamn thing. And I'll say, how do you like that, whistleblower? And now getting your whistle blown, I'm blowing the whistle on you. You're a whistleblower who's getting blown. Your whistle's getting blown as a whistleblower, and I'm going to blow the whistle on you. All right, that's a lot of whistleblowing. I wish I could whistle. My friend Brian can whistle. And by friend, that's really stretching it. It's a guy I knew in high school who I was good friends with in high school all throughout. Amazing friend. And And then we just weren't. It just all of a sudden, and I moved and he moved and whatever, life went on. But then when I saw him, we were kind of friendly and talking a little bit. This is at the reunion and stuff. And then I reached out to him via Facebook, I think, and he did to me, and we kind of talked past one another a couple times, and then that was it. Like, he didn't answer any of my notes. And I was like, all right, well, I guess that's done and over with. And can you blame him? I just talked about Pamela Anderson blowing Bret Michaels and me trying to find it. Like the Zapruder film back a million years ago, which is actually a very apt analogy because after he shot his load, Pamela Anderson unmounted him back and to the left. If you watch the video. Sorry, I got distracted. There's a guy outside my window moving things. So it's there's an election today. I don't know if you've heard. So I'm not gonna, look, you guys are busy and nobody's listening to this. Everybody's watching the returns to see if the world has ended. And I have to be honest with you, in my brain, I'm like, is it really that serious? And then there's part of me who remembers what I told you last week. And there's the part of me who lives inside me who goes, yeah, it's fucking serious. I mean, these guys, again, there's dudes burning books and all sorts of bullshit, and they want to they want to take women's uteruses away. And by the way, when I say that, I don't mean just outlawing them. I mean, they're going to come and harvest them. You know how they always go, they're coming for your guns. I tell you what, they're coming to take your guns. Well, these fuckers are coming for your uteri. And I mean, en masse, they're going to bring an army to your door. It's going to be like when the Pharaoh sent everybody out to fucking circumcise people. Is that a real thing? I don't know if it is. I don't remember. I saw a movie once. I saw 10 Commandments, and didn't the Pharaoh send, you had to put blood on your door, and then they took your firstborn son, and I think they circumcised him, right? Is that what they did? Or it could have been, honestly, could have been much worse than that. I was too busy looking at Ann Russell's tits through her see-through gauzy top as, who was she? Nefertiti. I think she was Nefertiti, if I remember correctly. This is totally true. The 10 Commandments is a Bible movie. Edward G. Robinson is like, yeah, say Jesus, meh. And Charlton Heston's in it, and he's Moses, let my people go, the burning bush, the whole bit. And I fucking love it. I used to watch it every Easter. I own the DVD. And I'll tell this, every woman I've dated, I think have said, hey, let's watch the 10 Commandments. And then shortly thereafter, we broke up. Now, look, I don't want to blame Jesus or anything. That's probably sort of true, but not true. But it's sort of true. I mean, I've broken up with all of them, clearly. And at one point I mentioned, let's watch the 10 Commandments. But not one of them had look, it's a weird thing. Not one of them had the sturdy constitution needed to sit for 3 hours and watch Edward G. Robinson go, ma, see the devil, ma, oh, bring it on, ma, hey, Pharaoh, ma. And you'll burn up with the Moses, the way he talks. But also in that movie, in the 10 Commandments movie, if you've not seen it, and by the way, the 11th commandment, which didn't make it into the film, is thou shalt watch this movie. So I don't know what the fuck you're waiting for. Ann Russell's in it, and I believe she plays Nefertiti. She's Nefertiti. There you go. And she wants to fuck the shit out of Moses. Like, she is I think she's the Pharaoh's bride or something, and she wants to fucking rail Moses. And it's oozing out of her every second. Like, if you want to see one of the horniest people you'll ever see, watch 10 Commandments and watch Ann Russell. I believe it's Ann Russell, I hope. She's Nefertiti whenever she's around Moses. Like, I mean, she is fucking vibrating. I will tell you this, because this is biblical times. This is a million years ago. That was the second that Ann Russell saw Moses, Charlton Heston. The second Nefertiti saw Moses, that was the day that the clitoris was discovered. Women knew they had it, and they did things with it, and I'm sure they wound up, look, fingering's been going on for a long time. We all know this together as friends. But that was the day when someone went, Nefertiti got wet and went, what the fuck is going on? Who's that guy? King of the Jews, slaves, whatever the fuck. And she wanted to rail. And so if you watch the movie, Ann Russell did a fantastic job of conveying horniness in biblical times, because she wants to jump on Heston's fucking shoulders and ride his face to the pyramids. Literally, she's just like, you know what? Apple, snake, Eve, whatever the fuck, Adam, tree, who gives a fuck, eat this. It's awesome, and it's super hot. But the best part about it, and I'll tell you this, and look, I don't want to say anything about Cecil B. DeMille, and I truly don't want to say anything about Cecil B. DeMille. I don't know how you pronounce his name. I think it's Cecil, possibly. I don't know. Is he English? He's not English. He's American. So he can't be Cecil. Cecil's a fucking English bullshit name. Cecil sounds like a guy who, like there was, did you ever watch Beanie and Cecil? Because we had Cecil here in this country. Fuck you, England. We had Beanie and Cecil. R-A-G-G-M-O-P-P, ragmop, doodle-doo-doo-doo-doo, ragmop, doodle-doo-doo-doo-doo, R-A-G-G-M-O-P-P, ragmop. That was Beanie, a tiny little man, and Cecil, the C6 sea serpent. That's who he was. And Beanie was like a kid who was kind of like an Elroy Jetson, but in a sailor suit. And he rode around on his friend Cecil, the C6 sea serpent, and they sang, for some reason, scat music. I don't know why. Or ragmop doodle doo 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 doo, ragmop doodle doo 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 doo, RAGGMOPP, ragmop. Because look, when a boy meets a sea serpent, they bond together over their love of ancient musical stylings. Certainly, of course. So Cecil B. DeMille, I think is English, so he's a Cecil. No, he's American. I've heard him talk. Because here's the thing: he hosts a fucking radio show on my old time radio show channel. Not now. I mean, he did then. He's dead now, long dead. Cecil B. DeMille. Cecil. Fuck. But it's Cecil. I've always known it as Cecil. But if he's from America, he's got to be a Cecil. But you can't be a Cecil and direct real movies. You know what I mean? If you direct the Ten Commandments, you immediately put on a monocle and call yourself Cecil. I don't even care if your name is Larry. You switch it. Hey, I'm Cecil, the monocle guy who just directed the big biblical epic that Mike's going to talk about in fucking 75 years. And it's like, yeah, here I am. We're doing it. I wonder if the math is good on that. Did my brain actually pull the math? What? Google it right now, everybody. Find out what year this is, anniversary for the Ten Commandments. But in that movie, Anne Russell's Nefertiti. And, she puts her firstborn someone in a basket, whatever the fuck. It's a long story. But Nefertiti, you can see through her top. So this is what I'm getting to. Cecil B. DeMille, let's put it this way. English Cecil B. DeMille might have been a pervert. But Cecil B. DeMille in America is like, we got to see her nipples. If we're going to make anybody watch this fucking movie, look, I got Edward G. Robinson clomping around in sandals. You think anybody wants to see his fucking gangster feet? No, nobody does. So we got to counteract that with some hot nipples on Nefertiti because you can see through her top. Believe it or not. She has a blue... And also, if you watch it, Ten Commandments, man, it is so vibrant and in Technicolor-ish. And I don't know what the fuck happened to movies. Every movie I go see now, it's like if you ever tried to light your whole house with a desk lamp, you ever walk in and there's just like one desk lamp on, maybe in your bedroom even, and the whole house is pitch black. That's what every fucking movie looks like now. And maybe it's because I'm going to see spooky movies where guys are hiding in the corner and shit like that. That's fine. But there's no color. There's no lighting. I saw Joker 2, and I'm not, look. I'm going to write that down so I remember to talk about it. We can't talk about it on Election Day. It's a sacred topic we got to deal with another time. But I saw Joker 2, and that movie might have been in black and white. I got to be honest. It was a dreary slog visually. I'm not going to talk about the plot. I'm not talking about the Joker or Harley. You guys might have seen it. You might not have seen it. I'll get to it eventually in another show. But today we're here to talk about very serious things like Bret Michaels and Ann Russell's nipples. But today we can't talk about it, but I will tell you this. I saw Joker 2 and the color palette I would say they used for Joker 2 is nausea. It looks like say you had biscuits and gravy and you left it on the counter for 3 days. Like that's the kind of congealed, it looks congealed. That's a really good way to put it. Joker 2 looks congealed. It's not sharp. It's not clear, it's not crystal, there's no color. I mean, it's just eventually, let's put it this way, in the actual movie there's no color. In the musical asides, I don't know if you know this about Joker 2, have you heard? It's a hold on, I gotta clear my throat and say this because it's serious. It's a musical. They didn't want people to know that, apparently, so they didn't put it in any of the ad campaigns. But in the trailer, it was in there clearly. If you were watching, and because I watched it, and it was funny. I will tell you. I'll just tell you this because I can't talk about the movie yet, but I will later. But Joker 2, when I saw the trailer, they're showing all this dancing, and like Joker and Harley are hosting a television show with big lights that say Joker and Harley behind them, and there's a bunch of different stuff, and I went, man, I have no fucking idea what this movie's going to be. Like, what are they selling it as? It's a musical, but also I think it's a sequel to this, but how? I go, unless these are all dream sequences, this is going to be weird. And there's no way they're all dream sequences. Guess what? They are all dream sequences. And I'm like, what the fuck? Now, I will tell you this. Again, I know you've heard from a lot of people that it sucked and it's terrible and all that. I look forward to the show when I can talk about it and give you my feelings on it. But I will say that I kind of fly in the face of convention a little bit. Here's what I was telling people. All right. I will tell you this. I saw Joker 2 and I would never recommend anybody to watch it, but I didn't hate it. Does that sum it up? Possibly. You know what? I actually liked it. on certain levels. It's like, for me, it's a movie I have to analyze to you. And look, the last fucking thing you want me doing is tearing apart Joker 2 now. Maybe another time we will. And write me. I tell you what, if you hear this and you go, Mike, I'd really like to hear your take on Joker 2. Maybe I'll do like a one-off or a button show or something. Maybe for the Patreon. Right? Hold on. Let me write that down write that down and outline it. Yes. There you go. But I would not recommend anybody watch it, but I liked it. But I didn't love it. And I was mad at some of it. And I didn't understand certain choices. But other choices I completely understood. And I will tell you this. One of the reasons I liked the movie, this will make sense, I think. I went into this movie not even thinking it was about Joker. Or the Joker, or whatever you want to fucking call him these days. Because, I think I really loved the first movie, but I felt it had nothing to do with the DC Joker. I thought it was a movie about a damaged guy whose life spirals out of control, and it leads itself to a kind of a bracing event that changes his life. Changes kind of everything. It's almost like a spark is lit or a catalyst for a lot of other things to happen. Okay? Well, Joker 2... I went into it. I didn't, there were a lot of, because here's what a lot of people thought. They were like, you know what? Because Harley's in it. So like, all right, here's where the Joker and Harley take over the town and take over all the criminals and they run the gangs. And I'm like, did you watch the first fucking movie? Did you watch that fucking Arthur can't put his pants on, for fuck's sake. Arthur's crying while applying makeup. He's getting beaten up by kids in the street. Do you think really? Because he was a mousy loser who had a gun. And that's why he shot De Niro at the end. Spoiler. But he was also damaged. He's all fucked up. Now, he hid behind the persona of Joker and allowed him to do a load of those things. So I guess people thought that he was going to do that in this movie. But I think personally, like when I told my friends afterwards, I go, this movie plays like a prank. Like it's almost like Todd Haynes, the guy who directed it, was like, is it Todd Haynes? That's not Todd Phillips. Todd Haynes directed fucking Far From Heaven, which is a Douglas Sirk fucking, hey, people might be gay. That's a colorful movie. You want to see a movie that's really colorful? Watch Far From Heaven. Also, it's sad as fuck. But Joker 2, I think Todd Phillips was like, hey, all those people that liked the Joker in the first movie, they were wrong. I mean, this is a terrible fucking guy. So we need to do something to disabuse them of the notion that the Joker is cool. And so he made Joker 2. And again, I've talked way too much about it now. I've talked certainly more than I thought I was going to. Because I don't want to spoil shit. If you haven't seen it, don't see it. Remember, I just said I can't tell you to see it. I think people should see it, but if you see, all right, let's put it this way. If you see it, just go in going, this is not about the Joker. This is a movie about a mental patient in jail and his trial. That's it. That if you watch it from that viewpoint, and you still might hate it. Okay, I recognize that completely. I'll tell you what, there is a camera shot in this movie that I thought was going to be memed for 1,000 years. Like I thought it was going to be fucking, I don't know. I don't know how to make memes. I don't know how to make GIFs. I don't know how to do any of that. But there's a camera shot in this movie that because a lot of stuff from the first movie, the stairs and his face and whatever the fuck, all that shit, him on stage doing comedy and making the weird face, all of these things became memes and good for them. But there's a shot in this movie that if you've seen it, I think you might know what I'm talking about. But it's so fucking cool. It only lasts like 2 seconds. But boy, oh boy, when it happened, I was like, that's going to be memed forever. We're going to see that forever. Now, I know people were going to hate the movie, and they did. But I was like, that particular scene, though, that shot, this camera shot is going to live on. And I've never seen it. I've never seen it since. So I'm kind of bummed by that. But if you go into this movie and you just think to yourself, this is a movie about, again, the spiraling of a mental patient and his upcoming trial and his subsequent relationship with a groupie fan person. And, because it deals with a lot of, I think, interesting and important subjects. The relationship and influence that people have when they do things, and then the subsequent disappointment felt by the people who throw all of their personality into that person and they turn out to be a failure. I quite frankly, it's like Cool Hand Luke, Joker 2. I tweeted it the day of, and like nobody, of course I get nothing because I get no traction on Twitter because I'm not a Nazi or a racist, but I tweeted it out and I just said, I never once thought of Lady Gaga as George Kennedy until now. Thank you, Todd Phillips. Because if you watch Cool Hand Luke, Luke goes to jail. He's on a chain gang. And then he gradually, because he's just kind of effortlessly cool, And it's a lot of jail guys who aren't cool and are kind of dumb or dopey or whatever. They all make him a messiah. They make him a Jesus figure, a Christ-like figure in there. They think he's so cool. He can do anything. He can beat the guards. He can eat 50 eggs. He can do we love him. And there's a great scene where when he gives up, like, you know, because he's maintaining that cool facade because he's Cool Hand Luke. And then when they finally fucking break him, all of the prisoners are disgusted. One of them throws a cigarette at him. They're fucking angry. And fucking it's great because Newman just goes, "Where are you now?" He's like so angry. Like, where are you? Because now he needs them. Now they worship him and all these things and he blew them off. But now when he finally breaks, because again, none of them have the balls to challenge the guards or do all the things, but they live vicariously through through Luke. And then when Luke shows weakness and breaks, and when he finally can't do it anymore, George Kennedy, who was the main guy, Dragline, I think he won an Oscar actually for Cool Hand Luke. But Newman didn't. Shocking, fucking stupid. I don't even know who won that year, but it might have been Poitier, so Poitier deserved it, but still, I don't know off the top of my head. But you know, George Kennedy is like the main guy who worships Cool Hand Luke. Okay. Well, in Joker 2, it's the same deal. The Joker has all of these fans. They keep coming to the courtroom. They cheer when he talks. They fucking love him. But he's not the Joker. He's fucking Arthur Fleck, who's a mental patient who had a fucking terrible life. So they keep going, "Hey man, be the Joker. It's cool. Be the Joker." And Harley's doing that. She keeps trying to convince him to be the Joker. And then finally he becomes the Joker again. And some stuff happens. And then he decides he doesn't want to be that. And all the people desert him. They storm out of the courtroom. And so that's why I made the very clever observation, because I am a very clever person. Hey, man, I never once thought of Harley or Lady Gaga and George Kennedy in the same thought, but now I have. Thank you, Todd Phillips. I think I've said a lot about this movie that I said I wasn't going to say anything about. Jesus Christ. If you've seen it, I would love to hear what you think. Write me a note. You know what? Write me. Write Zoom, ZOOM, Box 350, Boston, Mass. 02134. Ragmop. But we're in the Nerve Center, as I mentioned, and it's tense. It's palpable out there. I've talked to some friends via text, you know, about what the world is doing today, or the country, I should say. The world does wait a little bit to try to find out what's going on. Some of them are actually trying to be active about it. I mean, already today I've heard about fucking bomb threats in Georgia at 2 different polling stations, and it turns out they originated in Russia. And I don't know if you've heard this, but Russia are the good guys to some people in this country now, when I don't fucking understand that at all. It makes no sense. We used to hate them. They used to be the enemy. They used to be bad guys. And also, it's not like they've done anything different. You know what I mean? Like, they're still what they were. If anything, Boris Yeltsin and Gorbachev and those dudes tried to change it a little bit. And then Putin came in with the iron fist and was like, "Yeah, fuck that. I'm running this. We're going back to the old school ways. You know what we're putting the band back together." And he put the fucking communist band back together, or whatever the fuck. They're not even communists. They're all, look, man. When people say, "Oh, these guys are such capitalists," or "Oh, these guys are communists," fuck that. There's just greed. And it's greed as communism. It's greed as capitalism, all of it. And look, I'm a hippie, and yes, I get it. Whatever the fuck. You don't care, and I don't blame you. But when I hear they talk about, you know, the Russians are just oligarchs who seize money and keep people down. Like, they run their place a lot like, you know, this place is run sometimes. And certainly how if somehow Trump wins today, he will want to run it. You know, they want to keep poor people fighting so they can just take all the fucking money. And then if anybody notices that you know, if ever two people wake up and just go, "Hey, wait a minute, Putin's actually a bad guy," then all of a sudden that guy gets a fucking polonium shake and dive out a window. You know what I mean? Like, they don't fuck around. They just put guys in the gulag. They're like, "Yeah, let's put these." And let me tell you something. All right, I was gone for a long time, and you know, I lose myself in these really dark things. Go read about Russian prisons when you get a chance, because boy, oh boy, let me tell you something. The Russian military, I'm going to say this, and is what I read. I don't know. I'm not there. I'm not a silent observer. I'm not invisible and floating ethereally over to Russia to see how things are run. But this is some Russian stuff I read from people who've worked with the Russian military and people who observe them and people who are, it's their job to be on top of this. But apparently, when they started to go to war with Ukraine, they conscripted a ton of people. Like, it's not like they had some glorious military who was waiting to go fuck up Ukraine. And I think we know this because the fucking fact that it's still raging on, as I've said, I might have said this to you last week because I've said it on stage. When I was a kid, we were told Russia were the bad guys. How the fuck are they still fighting Ukraine? It makes no sense. This is a tiny, tiny country. And yet you can't beat them. You can't push them over. You can't get them to quit. And I get it. I said I did the joke about the Pope's bones and all that last week, but I'm dead serious. Like, Russia didn't have, this is what I mean when I say that this whole world's a house of cards. And I learned it really during the pandemic is when my eyes were really opened. The Russian military, you can hear about it and they talk about this and bombs and fucking guys, but they don't fight. They're not trained to fight. There's guys there who are fucking ready to fight and really evil and ready to fucking go. But the majority of these people, a lot of them were conscripted into the military because they just need cannon fodder to move forward and try to take fucking land. And I'm wondering if all wars were like that. I don't know, because a lot of the draft here, it's not, when they drafted 18-year-old boys here, it's not like there were kids at home reading Archie comics and all of a sudden they got a machine gun in their fucking hands and they're just like, what are we supposed to do? And that's why they're terrified. They're hiding in the fucking jungles in Vietnam or they're off trying to fight panzers in Germany. And what the fuck? You know what I mean? It's got to be unbelievably terrifying. Like, I mean, I know this. I know when I'm in my apartment and then all of a sudden I'm in like the chaotic environment or of like Union Station, the shock to the senses that you get. Because I'm alone a lot. I'm in my house. I'm watching streaming stuff. I'm reading a lot. I'm at the gym. Even at the gym, I will tell you, you know what? Let's even go on a micro scale. When I leave my house to go to the gym, that car ride, I always use that car ride as a way to kind of mentally prepare myself to re-enter society. And then when I go to the gym, I go up the stairs, I open the door, and I'm hit in the face by like rap music or whatever music they're playing, hip hop. And I see Mariano, who I'm going to work out with, and he's still with his last client. But the music and the clanging of the weights and that musty smell of the gym, and people are buzzing and talking, and there's TVs, and the guy at the desk, and I got to sign in. It's this. And I know that's not overwhelming, really. It's real life. It's you go somewhere and whatever. But to go from the relative silence that I'd spent most of my, I'd been asleep for 7 hours and 8 hours, and I get up and I get dressed, and if I'm lucky enough, I have a couple of yogurts, then I climb in the car. It's all quiet, silence, me. And then you walk into not even a chaotic atmosphere, just a loud and vibrant atmosphere. It's a fucking jarring situation. Well, can you imagine living the life of an 18-year-old? And some of you might have even done this. I don't think I have anybody old enough who got drafted listening to me. Maybe. I don't know. That was the 60s, possibly. 60s, you'd be 18. You got drafted in like 65, 66. Well, that's when I was born. So you'd be fucking 20. You'd be my age plus 18. So you'd be, is there an 85? No, 75. Maybe. I don't know. What the fuck? Hold on. I gotta do chiz and bops with my fingers. But to imagine that you were like just a kid, okay, and then you're a football hero, or you like girls and you like cheerleaders, and you go with your friends to the back roads and you drink and you have fun, and then you get a letter in the mail and you're in fucking Da Nang. What the fuck? And let's put it this way, you're not there to get trained for any special fucking assignment. You're there to get your socks wet and die. That's fucking the whole reason they got you there. And that's got to be crazy. So now in Russia, that's what they're doing. They're conscripting these. And look, and I'm not saying Russians even have it great anyway. They might be on their, on the nothing farm, raising their big crop of nothing to sell for nothing. But then it's much better on the nothing farm than it is to get drafted and have to go fight fucking really angry Ukrainians who can't understand why you're in their country. And quite frankly, you, as a 19-year-old, probably are like, why the fuck am I here fighting these guys? I'm not saying there aren't people who have been honed to a razor's edge and they're ready for battle, because there's people like that here. There's people like that all over the place. And you know what you don't want to do? Run into them ever, anywhere. Because if you see somebody with those fucking Patrick Bateman eyes where you're just like, Jesus fucking Christ, this guy's going to fucking listen to Huey Lewis and kill 10 Ukrainians today. I got no interest in that, man. It's just the way it is. You know what I mean? So there are people like that who cannot wait to be involved. When I trained MMA, I told you that when I trained for whatever, jiu-jitsu, whatever the fuck, for a year, and fighting and striking, there were guys who loved training with me because they wanted to hit somebody who didn't mind getting hit. Like I was I went home fucking beat up, sore ass every day. Like I told you, I had to crawl in one time from my car. like really slowly because I got my legs worked in a fucking kick drill. But like there's dudes just waiting to unleash their bullshit on people. And so I get that. I understand. And there are people who've been trained within an inch of their lives and are ready and vibrating and ready to go. They're you know what? As horny as Nefertiti was for Moses, these guys are horny for battle, and they're out there. And look, you want them on that wall, you need them on that wall. But the majority of kids who sign up for the military are doing it to get a college education, or because they might like guns. I don't know. I can't speak to what it is that allows you to go ahead. My brother joined because he wanted to go to college. He wanted the GI Bill. So there are a lot of people who use the military as a means to an end, but you don't realize that sometimes the military might go, hey, you know what we're going to do today? We're going to fucking invade Cuba. You're like, why the fuck are we invading Cuba? Who cares? Get on the plane. And you're like, look, man, I'm just here to learn home ec. And they're like, you know what? Put the spatula down and grab your AR-15. We're off to fuck up some Castros. And it's like, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about, man. It's brutal. So it's a rough thing. So the Russian prisons, man, Russian prisons, Russian military, unfortunately, from what I read, a lot of them, they're used the same way. There's pleb systems in the Russian military as well as there are in the Russian prisons. In Russian prisons, there are guys who sleep in the fucking toilet, and it's reserved. They get labeled things, and I can't remember the Russian words, but if you're a snitch, or you're not affiliated with a gang, all these different things. Like you literally, and when I say in the toilet, like they don't have toilets with stalls. They have like holes in the floor. So there are dudes who that's where they have to sleep, not in the hole in the floor. Sometimes maybe, but these dudes sleep around it. And if guys will just come in and piss on them, and you can imagine the other terrible things they have to go through. They are used for sex. They are used for all sorts of different things because they are the lowest of the low. They are considered that. And they do that to them as a way to keep them in line. It's a way to make sure, the system, the caste systems in the prisons are, unfortunately enforced. Well, from what I saw and read, there were people talking about how the Russian military, a lot of the brass, the people on, leading the charge, a lot of the people in the field, these guys did time in Russian prisons. And so they've learned to control their platoons or anybody who objects the same way they do in the Russian prisons. So there's stories, and there are people on the record with this. And I look, I don't mean to tell you this. It's Tuesday, for fuck's sake. I apologize. But they talk about how soldiers, and they don't even have to misbehave for this to be something. Okay, this can be an occurrence. I'm not saying it's common, but they said that this is an occurrence that happens more often than not, I would say. They will rape the privates when they arrive. They will be hazed and assaulted to prepare them for war or for misery. It's their way of controlling them and keeping them in line. And it'll be like a colonel or a sergeant or somebody, and he will bring a kid in and he will rape him. And then he will be like, now you're here. Now you're us. And, and you're always, and they consider you're always marked now with that. Like, even if you leave, that happened to you, you'll never forget it. And it changes. They want you to remember it because it turns you into a different person to a certain extent and makes you easier to control in the field. And I can't speak to the reasoning. I can only speak to what I read and the things. And you're going to be like, bullshit, whatever. Hey, and I hear you. I wish I hadn't read it. I wish it wasn't real to a certain extent. But if you search your mind, if you search within yourself, you know that a lot of shit that happens in this world is fucking terrible. I learned this. I think I told you when I was reading about the Serbian Croatian war in, I think, 93. And because I was doing stand-up actively at that time. And I was like, so I was into news and history and reading all the stuff and writing jokes. I wrote topical jokes. So I did a deep dive on what was going on in Bosnia. And you know what? That is not a deep dive you want to take. That's not even a shallow dive you want to take. That's a dive. You want to avoid that at all costs. You don't want to know the stuff that I read and heard about and truthfully, I'll tell you this. It's still going on today. But that was one of my introductions to it. Of war and war crimes and terror. I mean, we all knew about the Holocaust and the fucking camps and all that shit. And you're like, this is fucking horrendous. You know, you watch fucking 75 skeletons walk out of a fucking cabin built for 10. And they're about to be liberated, but are they? Because, I mean, look what they've gone through, and it's fucking horrific. You know what I mean? We all knew that. We had the Holocaust, the imagery and things like that in our brains. The ditches, the people, all that stuff. Why am I talking about this? Jesus fucking Christ. But when I started to learn about the other stuff in 93 and the use of rape as a weapon and all of these different things, and also the very specific things that they did that I'm not going to tell you because we've already horrified each other. Well, you haven't done any horrifying. What if you did? Are you scaring me? You have. You know what? You've terrified me at this point. But when I read it, I was just like, Jesus Christ. And now it's still going on. So like I said, when I read this about the Russian military, I kind of wasn't surprised. It was still like, fuck. But I was like, yeah, well, I mean, that tracks. Because it's fucking, you know, there's all that thing, all fair in love and war. But Jesus, no, it shouldn't be. There shouldn't be even be any fucking war. Nothing should be fair ever for anybody. Nah, what the fuck? And so this is, again, you're probably like, Mike, is this one of the reasons why you were like, nothing matters? And what's the point? Yeah, I think so. I think the rape of the Russian military people to keep them in line probably was something that threw me off. Seeing now that in Somalia, that rape is being used as a weapon. I mean, I read stuff about the I believe it was Somalia or whatever, the Tutsi tribe, TSI or whatever, like years ago, the shit that they were doing. Like, and again, it's so funny because I thought about, I didn't even think about this until just fucking last week. You know, because I started reading about the Somalians and how they're raping people and stuff. Not all Somalians, whatever, these war people, these tribes people, whatever the fuck, they're doing this terrible thing and using rape as a terrorist weapon in wartime. And then I thought, you know what it made me connect to? I'm going to sneeze and I apologize. Sorry about that. Does anybody out there say bless you when I sneeze on these? And isn't that, by the way, that's terrible. I shouldn't be sneezing on a podcast. I don't have a dump button. Again, we're in the nerve center. We're here in the nerve center. There's no dump button in the nerve center. But when I started reading about this, like Somalian, the shit that's going on, you know what it made me think of was, the movie True Romance has a great scene where Christopher Walken is talking to Dennis Hopper. And he's torturing him because he's trying to get information about Christian Slater and Patricia Arquette. And it's fantastic. Gandolfini's there, fucking mob, they're going to do. And so you got me in a vendetta kind of mood. Walken is fucking incredible. And so's Hopper. Hopper's fucking, it's a brilliant scene. I'm sure you've seen it. I know I've referenced it. But there's a moment where Hopper realizes he's going to die. He just knows it's over because he knows the mob isn't going to let him live. So he asks for a cigarette. And then he goes on a monologue that basically trashes Sicilians. And what he does, he talks about how when the Moors conquered Sicily, they had sex with all the women there, and they basically had so much sex that they were able to change the gene pool in that city. And that's what I thought of. Like, it was weird. Like, I've always loved that scene and loved that speech, and it's fucking amazing because he's like so brave in the face of the fact he's going to die. He just wants to make sure that he insults them right before he fucking dies. And Walken laughs it off, and then fucking, you know, things happen. But I thought of that when I was reading about the Somalians because I was just like, wait a minute, this is just the same fucking thing. Like, the Moors conquered Sicily and then fucked all the women there enough to even change like the fucking gene pool in town. And the thing I had read about the Somalians is it's these tribesmen, these warring villages. One village will come and they'll conquer the village, and then they will impregnate all of the women there to make sure that their bloodline infects that village. And I don't want to say it that way, but that's what they're doing. They're trying to create a new bloodline. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, I never made the connection with the movie before. Because in the movie, it's just a fun story that he tells before he dies. You're like, oh, this is badass, man. Right in fucking Walken's face. Take that, Sicilians. But then reading the rest of this, I'm like, oh, Jesus Christ, that's a real fucking tactic. That's a real plan. Dudes are like, hey, man, we're going to take over the city and then we're going to fuck everybody. It's almost like Blazing Saddles, where it's like, hey, we ride into town, whomping and a stomping, killing everything that moves. You except the women, of course. You spare the women? Yeah, we rape the shit out of them at the number 6 dance. One of my favorite jokes in a movie I've ever heard. It's so fucking wrong and funny. It's great. Let's work up a number 6 on them. We riding into town, whomping and a stomping, killing anything that moves. Except the women, of course. You spare the women? Yeah, we rape the shit out of them at the number 6 dance. I mean, just the very concept of the number 6 dance is one of the funniest fucking things in the history of comedy movies, whatever you want to call it. And then the raping the shit. I'm like, oh shit, that's the same thing as the Moors in Sicily and the fucking Russians now and the Bosnians and everybody. I always see these stories where they're like, oh my God, rape is being used as a weapon. I'm like, wait, grow up. It's being used all over the fucking place. In this country, rape has been used to terrorize women forever. You know, maybe not in an organized capacity, but what is rape other than a terrorist attack against a woman or a people? Jesus. But and then look, here's when I know you're a fuckhead. Whenever everybody talks about like a rape or this whole thing with the abortion and saving the baby in the whatever, you're raped, can you abort it? And guys are like, well, no, that wasn't the baby's fault. Fuck you, man. I'm leaning way back from the microphone and yelling, fuck you. If you would ever argue for the demon seed of a rapist to be carried to fucking conception or fucking term, whatever the fuck you want to call it, you need to just jump up a fucking cliff. Someone needs to put a fucking weed whacker right in your fucking face and just cut off your fucking nose and ears. God damn it. This woman is not a fucking a rape factory. She's not supposed to fucking spit out some kid that some dude fucking forced upon her. And then you're going to get in A Handmaid's Tale and all this shit where they're trying to repeal abortion and take away birth control because they think that the birth rate is bad and they don't want to be replaced because white people are fucking running out of time. And fuck off. You know what? If white people get replaced, maybe they should. Again, fucking it's letter of the law, whatever you want to call it. Fucking the call of the wild. What am I looking for? Law of the jungle. There you go. But they see it like that where it's just, you know, women don't want to have kids because they don't want to have kids because whatever the fuck, this world isn't built to bring kids into anymore. Nobody can buy a house. I just went and faxed something. All right. I'm not joking. This is how terrible my life was today. I was out and about. I had to go fax something. It cost me $3 to fax one page. I mean, what are you talking about? And look, I know you're like, well, why didn't you fax it from your house? Who the fuck has a fax machine? What the fuck am I, Mad Men? I can't have a fax machine in my fucking house. That's just ridiculous. And I'll tell you this, if I do get a fax machine, I'm not getting a clean one. I'm going to get one of those ones that puts out the paper that used to roll up. Remember that? When you'd fucking you'd fax somebody, get a scroll? It'd be like, you'd have to have a knave unroll it. Now here he, the king has sent a fax. Fuck off. Jesus Christ, man. Who doesn't have a fax machine? And I'll tell you what, I have a friend who I assumed for sure would have a fax machine because he's fucking Joe Business. And he's got fucking 9 houses and all this shit. He's rich. He's doing great. And he's just a very responsible guy. He's everything I'm not. And so I was like, hey, man, you got a fax machine? He's like, I don't. I'm like, God. And I lost all faith in humanity at that point because I'm like, that fucking guy, if anybody's going to have a fucking fax machine, it's going to be him. But it tore not. So I had to go spend $3 for a fax. This fucking, everything's ending. We know this, right? Just the very fact, look, the fact that I had to fax anybody anything is terrible. But I tried to do the thing on here's why I had to fax it. Because I was filling it out online. And then the one thing it wouldn't let me put on this piece of paper was my signature. I filled out all of the information and at the bottom it had a signature spot. So I had to print it out, sign it, and fax it instead of just being able to send it electronically. Because I couldn't put my fucking name on it. And the best part was the person I was talking to on the phone was crestfallen because we filled out I was on the phone for fucking 2.5 hours waiting, talking, whatever the fuck. And finally we get to this and I have to fill out this whole form and we get to the bottom. She's like, okay, sign it. And then you're going to send it here. And I'm like, it won't let me sign. And she's like, what? I said, it won't let me sign it. Let me fill out all of the other information except signature. It will not let me use it electronically. And she's just like, all right, here's what we're going to try. You know what I mean? And then there's 9 different fucking hoops and I got to do a somersault and shit. It's like, what the fuck? I light a candle, put it in the window, see if anybody shows up. What a mess. And finally she's like, all right, what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to print it out and fax it to me. And again, that wouldn't be that big a deal except I have the printer in my house. I have a Bluetooth printer and I can never get it to read my computer. Because I put it in, here I'm a genius. I put it in my bedroom. All right, the Bluetooth printer. I put it in my bedroom, and for some reason, the Wi-Fi will not stretch from the nerve center out here to the bedroom. And so I was like, fuck. So I will not. Look, you know who I am. So that was a week ago. That, by the way, and she's like, you got to fax this in like 9 days or whatever the fuck. I'm like, all right. And so just 8 days have gone by because I couldn't get it printed, and I'm like. And so then today I was like, I asked 2 people if they had a fax machine because I was going to, I wanted to print it at their house. And also it has personal information that I don't want people to see on this, numbers and fucking accounts. And so today's the day. Today's the final day. I got to send it in. And the two people I counted on don't have fax machines. And I'm like, oh, fuck. So now I'm like, how can I print it at a Kinko's and then fax it? Because I got to print it out to sign it. That's the whole point. And so I tried to download it to my computer, and then I'm like, I couldn't find it. And then I'm like, all right, maybe just refill it out. And then I was able to find it. I stored it on my computer. And here's what I did. I went, fuck, I can't believe I can't do that. I tried to send it to my printer. It said printer's offline. So I tried to sign my printer up, and it said it couldn't read it. So here's what I did. I unplugged my printer in the bedroom, and I put it in my kitchen. It's right now on my countertop, and I plugged it in, and it said setup wizard, and it said add the network key, and I did. And not only did it work, but it just started printing like maniacally. Like it just started spitting out pieces of paper because it was storing all of the previous jobs I tried to print, and my printer was offline. So stuff from last year, early last year, is printing out. A script that I did. All this stuff is printing out. Now I'm like, do I have enough fucking paper? Because I need one page. That's all I fucking need. The script comes out, tests come out, all these other things, and all of this stuff, it just comes flying out at me. And I'm like, son of a fucking bitch. And finally, it took, I'm not joking, it printed for probably like 5 minutes, 4.5 minutes. And finally it stopped. And it had to use 60 pages. And I kept just pulling them off because I'm like, geez. And I'm like, I hope I got enough. And finally, the last one was the paper that I needed. So I'm like, yay. Now I got to take this to another place. And I did. And I went to Kinko's and I faxed it. And I didn't I got a confirmation from the machine, but not from the people I faxed it to. So who the fuck knows? I could be in jail the next fucking time you hear me. Who knows how it works? So I went and did that. So I don't know why did I bring up faxes? Because that's what I did today. I went and ran out, and then I drove past the polling place by me. And again, you can vote by mail here in California, but there was a fucking line down the block, and I was paying attention online. Like I said, I saw the Russian thing where they were like, Russians have threatened to bomb polling stations. And I'm just like, what the fuck? And also, so here's another thing. So I saw this, the Russian bombing threats in Georgia, but also people are going through this already today. First of all, they trotted out the fake Melania. Did you see that? The fake Melania has emerged, and I love this fact that they think they can find any sort of like dirty dishwater fucking hair girl who's sort of thin and put chunky sunglasses on her, and everybody's going to think it's Melania. Like it's such Emperor has no clothes. Like he walks into a place with obviously a woman who is not his wife, and she's wearing giant sunglasses, and she waves, and nobody says anything. Nobody, reporters or the people in the room, nobody looks at him and goes, dude, who the fuck is this? It used to be that Heather, whatever the fuck, she used to show up all the time and throw on the sunglasses. She even admitted it, I think. But the fact that they let him get away, he gets away with everything. All right, we know this. He's Peck's bad boy, and he does whatever the fuck he wants. He's Dennis the Menace, and the rest of us are just Mr. Wilson, inconvenienced but never able to stop it. That is an ancient reference, and I apologize for doing that, but that's what came to mind. He's that naughty kid who does what he fucking wants and never gets in trouble, and nobody calls him on it. That's to me, as you know, one of the most frustrating things. I talked about this when he said that fucking Marco Rubio, fucking his dad killed JFK or whatever, which is pretty fucking hilarious, or Ted Cruz, whatever the fuck. Like I said, at the next debate, if one of those dudes just walks up to him and pushes him on the ground, because look, civility's gone. All right, we know this. He's saying bullshit. They called Kamala a cunt. I mean, it's like it's all whatever the fuck. Civility is gone. So if somebody just walked up to him and pushed him on the fucking ground, or done like a judo trip and put him down and said, "You got something to say about my dad, motherfucker? What the fuck?" You know what I mean? Like I mean that would have changed everything. It would have literally changed the course of American history. But instead, everybody pussied out and let him do whatever the fuck he wanted to do. And so now then he started to show up with a fake wife, and nobody said, "Hey, that's your fake wife." Now look, everybody on Twitter dunks on it. Ha ha, look, I can't believe it, fake Melania. Look, it's fucking hilarious. He's got a fake wife. No, it's not hilarious. It's fucking stupid. And it's a psyop. Honestly, if you want to look at it that way, if you let him get away with it long enough, he'll just continue to get away with it. Because it's that thing where if you go, "Hey man, that's not Melania," He'll go, how dare you talk about my wife? These people, they call, it's like when, all right, we talked about the fucking rally and then Biden had some fucking, they trotted him out of his casket and he had something and he said, those people are, something's garbage. And I don't, they tried to spin it. He was trying to say that what was said was garbage, but he said people were garbage. But the thing is, then everybody gets to clutch their pearls and go, I'm proudly garbage. And all of a sudden, like Megyn Kelly's wearing a garbage bag and JD Vance and Trump's wearing an orange vest and driving a garbage truck. And it's like, this is a fucking pathetic excuse for a society, for a system. If these people can find all of these grievance concerns and to fucking hide behind them, you know what I mean? They just, you literally called Kamala a cunt. They have a website. It was an ad from the GOP and it says Kamala is a C word. They meant communist, but everybody knows what they inferred. He calls her a low IQ, stupid person. He called her fucking like, what did he say? She was from, like Morocco. I mean, whatever the fuck. He won't say her name right. All these little petty fucking things. But then people are like, oh, they're garbage for saying that. And then they trot out a garbage truck and a vest and they're all wearing garbage bags. Look, they said we're garbage. It's like when Hillary said they were deplorable. Hillary said they were deplorables in 2015, 16. We're still hearing it. Oh, because they're still sad. And then they do a bunch of deplorable shit. And then they're like, oh, what, we're supposed to be deplorables? Yes, you are, you fuckheads. Own it. I don't give a shit if you do terrible things. If you do your stupid fucking bullshit and you call people a cunt, you heckle, you yell, as long as you're willing to own it and then have some sort of payment for it. I don't know if you saw this. This is completely sort of in the same fucking Venn diagram. There's a guy named Jason Kelce. Jason and Travis Kelce were football stars. Jason is retired and now he's a media star. They're on commercials. They've got cereal. Travis is dating Taylor. So if you know who these people are. So because they're such big names, and I've heard nothing but amazing things about Jason Kelce. There's a listener to this fine show, our good friend Ruben, who says that Jason Kelce is worshipped in Philadelphia. People love him. He's a good guy. He's good to charities. He's good to unions. He's good to people. He's just a good person in addition to being a fucking football star. So I was like, all right, well, good for him and his success. Well, there's a clip the other day. He's leaving something on a college campus. I believe he was at College Game Day for ESPN. And he's walking and there's a bunch of people and you see, you get a glimpse into what these people go through. He's trying to walk. There's, 100 people with phones following him, circling him. Hey, Jason, just stop for a selfie. Hey, Jason, can I get a photo? Hey, Jason, just say this or whatever. And then some kid is following him with a phone and he says, hey, man, your brother is an F word for dating Taylor Swift or whatever. He called him the slur for gay people. And Jason Kelce is, 6'5", 270, former football player, probably down to 250 now. And he's been eating, he's listening to all their bullshit with their selfies and their phones and all this as he's walking. He's just trying to get to his car. And then finally, this kid says, hey, your brother's an F word for dating Taylor Swift. And Kelce just fucking finally, that was the one. He turns around and it's this skinny little fucking bookmark of a kid. I mean, he's just got he's got a zip hoodie on and a fucking backwards hat, I think. He's just everything that's nothing. He's being grown on the nothing farm, as we talked about in Russia. He's just this little slip. He's a germ. He's an airborne virus in fucking Converse. And Jason Kelce just grabs his phone and fucking body slams the fucking phone to the ground, slams the shit out of it. And then picks up the phone, instinctively leaves with it because he realizes there's a film of him grabbing the fucking phone and throwing it to the ground. So if this kid's able to fix it, he's going to have that video. So he takes the phone. Now look, taking the phone, mistake. All right. Clearly, that's theft. Can't do that. But in the moment, after his brother was called an F word and by a kid, he lost his mind. He saw red or just went blank. And look, man, I don't blame him. Perhaps you don't blame him. And then, unfortunately, a couple days later, like last night on Monday Night Football, he has to apologize. He's like, hey, man, I really overreacted, blah, blah, blah. And you know what? Two things. One, unfortunately, he reacted the way the kid wanted him to react. That's exactly what the kid wanted. What did he think he was going to do? Smile and laugh? But two, why the fuck are you apologizing for burying a fucking troll? That kid's lucky he didn't fold him up. Like, really, he should have just, if he could have put his fist right through that kid's fucking bird rib cage. I mean, this kid looked like he needed a sandwich for 5 years. Totally thin, skinny, fucking, and I don't advocate violence, but if you're sitting there constantly egging somebody on, trying to make them violent, and then they get violent, like right now, I just saw a story. This is, again, We used to make steel in this country. You know what we export now? Influencers. There's some guy named Johnny Somali, and he's American. And right now, I think he's done it in several countries, but right now he's in Korea, and he runs up to people and he just says racist shit, like mocks their accent or yells, and then like films it. He puts it online. And it's funny, I had a comedian friend, Ari, who used to do the fucking Amazing Racist a billion years ago. So he's probably he should sue this fucking guy. But anyway, but I saw yesterday, there's these South Korean people in a Discord, these kids, and somebody spots Johnny Somali, so they all go dark on their Discord, and then they find him, they kick the shit out of him. And then there's a video of the cops getting there for the aftermath. The kid's got a bloody face, bloody mouth, and the cops, someone's walking up and going, hey, you're the crazy boy, right? Aren't you the crazy? Because they're Korean. They're just like, hey, aren't you the crazy boy? And Somali won't even talk to him. And all these people are like, oh my God, I can't believe this happened. I'm like, what do you mean you can't believe this happened? This is exactly what was supposed to happen. I can't believe it hasn't happened over and over again. And the best part is, I guess he's in some lawsuit now or whatever in Korea. He can't leave the country. So he wants to leave, but he can't. And again, by the way, I didn't read anything in depth on this. If I'm wrong about this story and you have facts, fine. But I'm just giving you the surface that I got last night. Because I was like, I saw this kid get beat up in Korea, and then I found out why, and I found out who did it, and then I found out he can't leave the country because he's under a lawsuit. And so now he has to hide, but he's still trying to live stream, but then they find him, and then it's like he's truly being hunted for sport. Like they're trying to, in Korea, they're on the lookout for him. They're going to hurt him. And look, man, if you do dumb shit all the fucking time, you're going to get bad things that happen to you. And if it's worth it to you to film it and put it, if you just want to get your shit kicked for a fucking forever, really, I mean, if you're just looking to get your shit packed and have it, and that's how you make your money, I guess, maybe it's a kink, maybe it's a job. I don't know what the fuck it is. But don't give me the other side of it. We're like, oh, I can't believe that these Koreans did this to him. He's a racist fucking jerk. I can't believe that Jason Kelsey would react like that. Why the fuck can't you believe it? That guy, a little kid, an 18-year-old kid, 19, whatever, stepped to him and called his brother a slur in his face. And look, I'm not fucking Frontier Justice. I'm not Wild West Wilson. But don't be surprised if somebody else is. If somebody fucks you up because of some dumb shit you did, you don't get to go, oh man, I can't believe you did it. You should apologize. And that gets back to the garbage thing. These assholes, they talk all fucking shit all the time. She's stupid. She's low IQ. She's fucking terrible. Waltz is a pedophile. Blah, blah, blah. And then someone's like, these guys are garbage. I can't believe it. Can you believe they said that? You need to get out and vote and prove that they can't call us garbage. Fuck off, man. And that's, again, one of the things that drives me fucking crazy, where you just go, I don't want to even participate in this anymore. I don't want to be part of this fucking society if this is the shit that they're going to do. My neighbor has just arrived home. I don't know if you can hear his door. And he may turn his TV on really loud. So there's a chance you will hear it through the wall. I don't know. Perhaps you will, perhaps you won't. Who knows? Look, I can't forecast the future. But I can tell you that he's going to have the election results on super fucking loud because he is very invested in who's going to win this election, as indicated by his license plate. That is Donnie. So there you go. So don't be shocked if people do dumb shit get folded up. I mean, it's just the fucking way it works. That's what should happen. That's, it's because again, this kumbaya, me, kumbaya. This all let's hold hands across America and fucking forgive these guys. Bullshit has got to go. Because it just, these people, and look, and it happens on the left too. I'm sure everyone's going to be, what about Antifa? Yes, maybe. I don't know. I'm not talking in generalities, or I'm sorry, I'm not talking specificity. I'm talking generalities. If you act like a fucking asshole, don't be surprised when somebody fucks you up. Because someone might be willing to be more of an asshole than you, and they might have the time. Someone just might have the fucking time, and you know what? Time's up. But yeah, so I don't know what's happening today. I have no idea. I know I got a text from Steve Garvey. That was fucking weird. Steve Garvey is running for Senate out here, and it's fucking hilarious. First of all, because I'm registered in one way. I don't know why a Republican is sending me anything, but I guess it's just a PAC. And I get a note from Steve Garvey, and it's like, "Hey friend, it's Steve Garvey." And I'm like, man, if Steve Garvey's calling me friend, things have really gone off the rails. But then I opened it up. He's like, how about our boys in blue bringing home that championship, huh? Those Dodgers won a title just like I won in 1981. And today's another day for another big victory. And I want your support for Senate. And I'm just like, wait a minute. Are you really trying to appeal to me through the beautiful game? Are you really trying to come in through the national pastime, America's pastime? And also, you're trying to connect the Dodger World Series win with yours from 43 years ago? The only thing I remember about Steve Garvey, and well, this is bullshit. Let's put it this way. I remember everything about Steve Garvey because I remember everything about everything. But the only thing anybody else, like right now, probably thinks about Steve Garvey, they remember the forearms, they remember the haircut, they remember the hot wife, Cindy, and then they remember the weird wife swapping scandal he got in, and then the fact that he still owes back taxes from like the 80s. Like he's that guy. He's a perfect example of those dudes who are running for office who, you know, they're anti-tax because they don't pay any fucking taxes. So they're just like, yeah, we shouldn't have to pay any taxes. Why the fuck? What? And believe me, I'm a guy who is up to his eyes in tax trouble, and it's my own fucking fault. I recognize that. But I also recognize that it was something that, you know, I own it. You know, I don't sit here and go, well, what the fuck's wrong with you guys? Why don't you leave me alone? I'm the little guy. Well, I mean, yeah, I'm the little guy, but still, you live in this country. It's the cost of doing business. I don't know, man. Steve Garvey sending me texts. I thought the Kamala one was nice. Where it's just, my favorite one is like, Mike, hey, Mike, it's Kamala. So now we're on a first name basis. And then she sends a photo of herself. Just in case I wasn't sure it was her, I get a photo of her at like a lectern or a podium. I'm like, oh, you know what? This tracks. This is definitely you then. I enjoy the fact that like if she didn't send the photo, I would think it was a different Kamala. Or perhaps I would think it was Kamala, the Ugandan giant, sending me a text, which I clearly, look, I've seen him. He does not know how to use a phone. He has a half moon painted on his stomach. He is patting his belly just before he makes a pin, and Kimchi tells him to get off of his guy because his handler was named Kimchi, and it's fucking hilarious. Kamala, the Ugandan giant, clearly one of the greatest pro wrestling characters of all time. He just died. He was also Leroy Brown, I think, for a while. But he was Kamala, the Ugandan giant, and it was, if you don't know who this is totally true. You can Google it. It's a black dude in a loincloth. And he has like tribal paint on his stomach and his face. And he would come to the ring wearing like a tribal mask. And he had to be accompanied by a handler named, it was Kimchi, I believe was his name. And his handler wore a fucking Mr. Wrestling 2 mask. Like, so you didn't even know who Kimchi was. So I'm betting every city it was a different Kimchi. There's no doubt about it. But it would just be a guy. And he had to control, the whole point was he was there to control Kamala because, Kamala. It's that he's Kamala. Kamala's running for president. He would be there to control Kamala because Kamala he was unpredictable. He's a Ugandan giant. He could have run into the stands at any time and attacked the fans. So Kimchi would stop him. Kimchi would hold his spear. Not kidding. Wrestling, well known for its racist past and present. But Kamala would have to be controlled by Kimchi. He would have a death mask on, like a mask and a spear. And Kimchi would hold him during the match. But here's my favorite part about Kamala. All right. Just the idea alone that Kamala would be a professional wrestler. They found him in the backwoods of Uganda, and then they trained him to do a suplex. It makes no sense. But and as you know, if you think of things that are ridiculous and you think of them in the real world, for me, there's nothing better. I was watching, do you remember the character Stefan on Saturday Night Live? I think Bill Hader is a fucking genius and should get all the money and every award. But he did the character Stefan. So I've been watching the old Stefans. And then I saw an interview with him with Seth Meyers where he was trying to explain why he would laugh so much at the desk. And we all know the thing where Mulaney would write jokes that he didn't know were coming. So he would laugh at them because he was delivering them for the first time. But also he said that Seth Meyers was so patient with Stefan, it would make him laugh every time because he goes, this guy's like a tweaker, club kid meth head, and he's so weird. And Seth would go, well, Stefan, that's great. However, we're looking for families who want to go to a certain restaurant. Like he treated it real. And that made fucking Hader break because it was even funnier. Because there's nothing funnier than like an insane person and a regular person, the regular person trying to understand him and not acting like they're crazy, just dealing with it. And that is the essence of Kamala, the Ugandan giant, and his handler Friday or Kimchi. It would always change in a different territory. That they would come to the ring and Kamala would have face paint. And so again, the very fact that Kamala would have to apply his paint at the arena after driving there, and then he has to go fight. And then his handler holds his spear and his tribal mask and then tries to keep him from attacking the crowd because he, as you know, he's a loose cannon. He's a Ugandan giant. And this clearly is not Uganda. This is the Philadelphia Civic Center. How did I get here? I'm supposed to be trapping a lion, and instead I'm fighting Salvatore Bellomo. It doesn't make any sense to me. I'm a Ugandan giant. If you think of it in those terms, for me, it's the funniest shit in the world. And also then at the end, and this is the most, I don't know who thought of this part of it. I do not. But whoever thought of this is a goddamn genius. Kamala would fight. He would do his headbutts and do, again, the very fact that they taught him to do anything, because he had a rudimentary move tree. There's no doubt. It wasn't like he was a high flyer, Kamala. He was just roughing guys up. But here's the best thing. He won with a big splash, which if you don't know what that is, you incapacitate your opponent with a head chop or something, and he's lying on the ground, and then you run and bounce off the ropes, and then you leap in the air, and you bring all of your crushing weight down upon his torso. And then the referee gets down there and counts 1, 2, 3, and it's over, right? That's the pin, 1, 2, 3. Well, Kamala is from Uganda. He's not from here. He doesn't even know why he's in this place. He should be in the bush. He should be eyeing a gazelle for 4 hours and hurling a spear at it to get dinner for the rest of his family, his giant family. However, he's now been transported to the Boston Garden where he has to fight against Randy Savage. He doesn't know why. Now look, he's used to dealing with savages, but never in the Boston Garden. So now he goes and say he fucking incapacitates him. And by the way, this is a bad choice because Kamala would never go over Savage in a pin. Savage has never taken a clean pinfall from Kamala. Let's think of somebody else from that era. You know what? Rene Goulet. We'll say that. Even though Rene Goulet was actually a villain. Jim Powers. Google Jim Powers. Jim Powers is fighting Kamala in the Boston Garden. And it's a prelim, by the way. That's not a main event card. Jim Powers never went anywhere. But he's a buff kid, willing to do the job. So Kamala incapacitates Jim Powers, runs and does the splash, the big splash. He leaps in the air and he lands on Jim Powers. And the ref counts 1, 2, 3. And they ring the bell because it's over, right? Wrong. Because Kamala doesn't understand pins. Kamala doesn't understand the 3 count. Kamala doesn't know the rules of wrestling. He's a Ugandan giant. He's a stranger in a strange land. So he does his big splash off the ropes and he pins Jim Powers to the mat, 1, 2, 3, and then he remains on top of him with all of his crushing weight. He refuses to get off of Jim Powers because he doesn't know. He's a giant. He thinks the fight's continuing. He's just pinning him down and holding him down as if he's tackled some wild beast in the Serengeti. When he was on vacation from Uganda. But, and then Friday or Kimchi, the handler, has to come into the ring and put his hands in the air like, no. And he's like, what? And he's like, no. And they make him stand up and he's like, huh? And he's looking around because he's clearly very confused because he's in the fucking, in the New Haven Civic Center. And he doesn't know what to do. But then Kimchi stands him up and is able to give him his mask and then calm him down and then get him out of the ring. The fact that he would pin the guy for the 3 count and then not get off of him until the handler told him to get off of him. What a fucking perfect part of that gimmick. It's my favorite pinning gimmick of all. My second favorite pinning gimmick, and I know you don't care, but I'm going to tell you, there was a guy named King Kong Bundy. And King Kong Bundy was a giant, round, bald guy. And he would do a big splash also on people. And his gimmick was he wanted a 5 count. Like they would go 1, 2, 3, and King Kong Bundy would go 5. And the ref would be confused because he doesn't know. He's never seen a King Kong Bundy match before. And then Bundy would go 5, and then the ref would count 2 more, and then Bundy would get off the guy. That's how, because Bundy was that vicious, he could incapacitate you for a 5 count. It wasn't good enough to pin you for 3. He was going to pin you for 5. By the way, I think just in the past 2 years, we lost King Kong Bundy and Kamala. And so clearly, when I tell you this story of Kamala, not even knowing that a pin was 3 and refusing to get off of Jim Powers, that's when you know deep in your heart that he could not have been the one texting me the other day. So it really was not necessary for Kamala to send me a photo of herself, because I would not confuse her with Kamala the Ugandan giant, because I know from my years of experience that Kamala the Ugandan giant, no idea how to use a phone. Clearly not a smartphone guy, Kamala the Ugandan giant. Unless Friday or Kimchi was sending me a text as a representative of Kamala the Ugandan giant, who was very concerned, from what I understand, with Prop 36 here in California. Good for him. So I'm happy that the texts are going to stop. I don't know if the bomb threats are going to stop. Those look like they're going to continue. Also today, what else did I see? I saw fake Melania, and I saw fucking, I guess, all right, look, there's supposed to be a massive turnout for this. Whether it's good or bad, your side or somebody else's side, who knows? But like I said, the line here from my polling center was down to the end of the fucking block, and I have no idea why people would do that and not. I know old people are afraid of technology sometimes, but just fill out your ballot and put it in the box, man. And look, I filled out my ballot yesterday and put it in the box. There was no doubt I was going to get it in. What I like to do is the day before election day, I sit for like 2 or 3 hours and I read all the props and the measures, and I go along with the voting guides and I see who I agree with and who I disagree. Whatever the fuck. It's become a ritual at this point. And I had the same experience yesterday that I had in 2022. So I may have told you about this already. I went to, and because to me, right now it's a great snapshot, a great microcosm of America. I went last night to go deliver my ballot box, my ballot envelope to the drop box. And as I pulled up, it's in front of a library here, not far from my house, just like a mile and a half. And I pulled up and, just like 2022, I don't think it was the same dudes, but there's homeless guys sleeping at the ballot box as I pull up. And again, I'm talking, it's like 1:30 in the morning. And they have, it's at a library, and they have all of their stuff. And I mean 3 carts. I'm sure you've seen, look, some homeless guys travel light. They just got a pocket full of dreams. But some dudes have a fucking, carnival bumper car filled with fucking garbage, and they take it everywhere. And whatever, and it's their belongings, whatever they have, whatever they've invested in, whatever is dear to them, whatever they can fit into a shopping cart or a whatever, it's there. And so there's 3 of them, and quite frankly, they were so stuffed. It looked like they had pontoons in them. You know what I mean? Those big inflatable fucking things. It was crazy. But they parked those at the entrance to get up to the libraries. You can't even walk past there. Look, I wanted to go to the lending library. I wanted to go see if there was some sort of book that I could read to take my mind off of what was going on in the world, but I couldn't even get to it because it's blocked by the homeless parade. And then I go to the ballot box itself, and there's 3 dudes, and they're sleeping on the ground around it. And in my head, I'm like, all right, are these guys guarding this ballot box? Or have they decided that by sleeping there, anybody who comes to give their ballot, they can wake up or say to them, hey man, you got some cash? It makes sense. You go where the people are. But in the middle of the night, when you pull up and I'm going to drop off my ballot, and look, I'm in an area that I guess you could consider, Democratic leaning, I would assume, and the whole state isn't that, but the main cities and stuff. But also, it's a rich people area where the box is, so maybe they're not. They could be Republicans that don't want to pay taxes. I don't fucking know. Could be Democrats that don't want to pay taxes. But it seemed like an odd choice to surround the box. I mean, because you're thinking, the people who are in this neighborhood, certainly who come by a library, maybe they're willing to help the homeless. But also, I got to be honest with you, people are much less willing to help the homeless at 1:45 in the morning when they stumble upon 3 of them sleeping gang style, leaning up against the ballot box. They're just, because look, these guys are disheveled. They don't have quilts. They're just wearing 4 coats, and they're leaning. Because again, you can't open the box without, I can reach over them. They weren't blocking the actual slot, but I have to get close enough to where a guy could grab me if he wanted. I mean, if he truly was interested, or he could look up at me and say, hey man, you spare some change, whatever the fuck. So I'm in the car and I'm like, all right, well, this is going to be a thing. And I don't have any money. If I had change or anything like that, or I usually give people water because I have water in the car, but I had nothing. Because honestly, I'm not even wearing fucking socks. They were lucky I put on shorts. I was going to drive up in my boxer briefs and it's 1:30 in the morning. I'm going to a fucking ballot box. And I'm sure there might be somebody there photographing it to remember my face so they can come after me when the fucking wrong guy wins and they start building the camps. Who fucking knows? But sure enough, I pull up and I'm like, all right, I don't know what the fuck's going to happen. And I get out and I'm not kidding. I looked like, you ever see a 1930s cartoon where the fucking characters, they first of all, they don't stand still. They just bounce like Porky Pig, or somebody will just be bouncing for some reason. I don't know if that was just the way they had to do the animation, but also you ever see when they walk and they just walk kind of weirdly, shambling kind of slowly, but there's a rhythm to it. You ever see the Pincushion Man? That's the one that always comes to mind. I'm the Pincushion Man. And it's a fucking guy popping balloons in Balloon Town. And he walks like kind of like, and that's how I walked to the ballot box. I walked like not tiptoed really, but here's how I walked. Okay. If you had if you were plinking the strings on a violin or a cello, here's how I walked. That's how I walked. I snuck up. I snuck up because I don't want to wake these dudes up. Blum, 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 blum. That's how I walked to the fucking ballot box because I don't want to wake these idiots up. Because also, look, just in case it's going to be a throwdown and they want to jam or they want to wrestle my ballot away to try to save the world. I don't fucking know who these, because again, it look homeless, but you're hearing all these stories of guys out there causing trouble. I'm sure I've seen videos of dudes who wear their fucking MAGA hat to the fucking polls and they're like, look, man, you can't wear the hat in here. And they start yelling. And it's like, dude, you've never been able to wear the hat. If your I Like Ike pin stays in the car, what the fuck don't you understand? God damn, who are you trying to fool? What are you trying to do, man? Hey, man. I'm so sick of it. These fucking idiots. And, you're like, well, both sides are, yeah, okay, both sides are. But it seems like only one side is buying a lot of fucking merch, what makes their guy into a muscle man or puts his head on Thanos. Jesus fucking Christ. I don't know, man. Whatever. If that's your thing, if you can spend all that money on a gigantic fucking flag with that dude's name on it. I mean, the lawn signs, even, I don't get any of it. I don't get the rah-rah, whatever. Who cares? So, blum, 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 blum. And I tiptoe up because I don't want to wake them up just in case. I got to have a three-headed showdown with the fucking homeless. I don't know. Or if they have concealed guns. Maybe they got concealed carry. I don't know. But I sneak up to the ballot box. I leave my car running, too, in case I got to run and dive back into it. Look, I'm proactive. I know this country's on a fucking, it's a tinderbox. Who knows what the fuck's going to happen? So I tiptoe up to the fucking ballot box. And there's one guy okay, there's the front of the ballot box is where, like, imagine a mailbox, okay? The front is where you pull down the little door and you put your ballot in. And then there's the two sides and then the back. Well, nobody's at the back because that's where the curb is. But on each side, there's a guy sleeping, leaning up against the ballot box, sitting up. They're not on the ground. They're not sleeping in the dirt. They're leaning against it, sitting up. And I think they're asleep because they haven't said anything to me as I sneak up. But then there's the third guy, and he's right under the ballot box, the door, the little thing you pull out to put your box in, your ballot. And so he's a guy I got to engage with if he's going to fucking tackle me. I don't fucking know. But I sneak up very quietly. They don't move. They don't say anything. And so I get to the box, and the guy's got his legs out. So I have to straddle his legs because he's sitting up with his back against the ballot box, head under the door, and he's got his legs kicked out. So I got to straddle his legs. And in my brain, I'm like, this is leaving your balls very vulnerable to attack. But quite frankly, I'm always aware of when my balls are vulnerable to attack. So I reach and nobody says anything. And their eyes are closed. They're sleeping. And I grab the door, the little door, and when I pull it, it's like the fucking door of the inner sanctum. Because I don't want to open it fast because it's going to make a clanking metal noise. So instead I try to open it quiet and it goes, like in this fucking weird ghost house fucking squeal. I'm like, oh man, I got to go to the one ballot box with the Ned Beatty door, right? I'm like, what the fuck? So these dudes are sleeping. I don't want to wake them up. I'm straddling this dude's legs. I reach up and I pull open the ballot box and I put my envelope there. Nobody says anything. Nobody moves. I put the ballot box in there, and it's unfortunate. Like you can't see it fall in. You have to push it as hard as you can and hope it goes down. So I'm holding the door open and I slide it and I bang it. And when I bang it, I hit the fucking thing. It makes a noise. And then I put the door back up real slow. And then I got to open it again because I got to make sure the ballot box went down. So I pull the thing and I make sure the envelope's gone, and it is. And I close the door. And right when I close it and I let it go and I go to turn around to leave, the dude sitting underneath the slot doesn't even open his eyes and just says, good luck. Good luck. Doesn't ask me for money. Doesn't say, just literally didn't even open his eyes. No effort, no movement. Good luck. And what a perfect phrase. In my brain, I thought, you know what? You're absolutely right. Because if there's anyone who hasn't had any luck, it's this dude who's sleeping in the dirt at the ballot box as I cast an envelope for what I think is going to help America. And that is a guy who, quite frankly, I said they got 3 like shopping carts filled, and I got it. You know what else was it? I didn't see them. I said it looked like pontoons and inflatable stuff. You know what was under all that? Cynicism and reality, and 3 shopping carts full of good fucking luck, pal. Because you know what? This next year, this could be you sleeping right here under this very same fucking slot. Jesus Christ. Amazing. And I was so shocked that he said it. I didn't even say thanks or anything. I just kind of ding, 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 right back to the car and went home. I don't know what's going to happen, man. I don't. I've texted with some friends today who are worried, and I've texted with friends who, make jokes because that's my friends do. And who knows? I got no fucking clue. It's funny. I voted on the ballot here. And I had to laugh because there's all sorts of props and measures. It's not just president, and it's not just Steve Garvey going down to an awful defeat, but it's also, there's props and measures. And the best part about it, because I have to educate myself, I have to read them, and I get the voting guide, but then I get the one that's dispassionate that just gives you the facts. But the way they write these things are always weird. You know what I mean? It's like, do you not want this to not be a thing that maybe could be a thing that you won't want to vote for, but maybe you should? Vote A. You know what I mean? You're like, I don't fucking know what this means. So I got to try to find as many resources as I can to break it down. And there's some websites I go to, and they have their recommendations, and they'll explain it kind of, this is what this means, all of it. You know how it is. I mean, you have to be, president's one thing. We all know what we're voting for. You know what I mean? But these measures and these judges and these school district people, and I told you, they fucking, I hate that because that's all I get in my mailbox. There was a guy, I've talked about it before, where there was one dude, remember, we decided not to vote for him just because he gave me so much fucking stuff. I didn't even know, he might have been the best guy ever. But I'm like, the very fact that I get a piece of mail from you every fucking day, you want this too bad. And I'm not even going to educate myself about your race. I'm just not voting for you. I'm voting none of the above for school board. I did that last time or whatever, several elections ago. Not this time. I read everything, learned judges and state senators and state representatives. But my favorite part about these measures, there's always like measure A, and you read the description of it, and then it will say people. So here's organizations who support this and organizations who don't support this, who think you should vote against it. And never have you seen a wider disparity in the people who want something and the people who don't want something than in these ballot measures. There's like Prop 36 or something, and I'm reading it, and it's like this will build houses for the homeless and do everything it can to help people who are in the street struggling and trying to make sure that they're getting ahead and away from the awful and harsh conditions that are on California streets at this time. And it'll say in favor of LA Family Housing, Habitat for Humanity, Women and Children's Crisis Center. All opposed, Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association. I'm like, oh, Jesus Christ. Well, let's see here. Habitat for Humanity or Howard Jarvis's Taxpayers Association. You might as well, it should just say, because look, we all, just when you hear Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association, you get a mental picture of who that guy is. The very fact that he would put his name on Howard Jarvis just sounds like a fucking terrible guy. That's a dude who's just coming to your house and putting an eviction notice on your door and laughing. That's who Howard Jarvis is. There was another one, National Wildlife Federation, Clean Water Action Center. Opposed, Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association. Coalition for Economic Survival, California Alliance for Mental Health Advancement. Who's opposed? The Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association. He couldn't even find some allies. Opposed, the Southern California Grinch Association. E. Scrooge LLC. All in favor? Jesus and all of his angels. Against? Bill the Butcher and friends. I mean, what the fuck? It couldn't be more clear, the choices that you need to make. And yet, I guarantee you when I look at the results of these, it's going to be like 51 to 49 or 50 and a half to 49 and a half. So 49 and a half people in this fucking state are rolling with the Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association. And I got to be honest with you, man. If that doesn't say, what's the point? What does? You guys can get me at Mike and MikeSchmidtComedy.com. I don't know if we're going to do, this is a part one. I don't know if we'll come back because I don't know if we're going to do I thought about doing a second one like tomorrow. after, the fucking chaos has calmed down, but I don't know if it will. Because truthfully, what I think, I ended this and I jumped back into it. I think he's been laying the groundwork. Here's what I'll say. This is how I believe it's going to go. He's going to declare victory right away. If he hasn't already, I'm recording this now it's 3:45 East Western time, Pacific time. So it's 6:45 in New York. He's probably already declared victory if the polls closed in Michigan, Pennsylvania, whatever the fuck. That's who he is. He's going to declare victory. And then when the votes come in, if he loses, he's going to say it's rigged, it was stolen. Because for the past 10 days, in addition to calling her stupid and saying that she's, has no support and lying, like bald-faced lying. Yesterday, he's like, yeah, she had a rally today with 100 people. Like they barely, and then you showed her rally. There's like fucking 11,000 people. Like, I mean, what the fuck are you talking about? But they lie over and over to try to, it's a way of wearing down people's resolve. And so then in 2 days, people go, nobody voted for her. She had 100 people at her rally on the day before election day. Well, they didn't. It's just, he says things and they believe it. And that's that's exactly what he's banking on. He's banking on lying. All of his, whatever people support him, Musk, these other guys who are supporting him, they're going to lie. They're going to pretend that he won. And when she wins, if she wins, they're going to say it's rigged and they're going to start the lawsuits. They're going to start suing. I don't think we're going to get a true read on this. In my opinion, we'll have, we'll know. Because again, look, I'm putting myself on the line here. I think she wins by at least 3 points. I think she puts the thumb in his ass. And I think they knew that too. And that's why they started 10 days ago with the pivoting, especially after the fucking rally and the Puerto Rican shit and all that. I mean, I really think it started to fall apart for them internally. So they saw the polls and knew. And that's why he has two different poll people. Like Nate Silver works for Peter Thiel and he's saying it's a coin flip. Then there's some other guy who keeps saying that Trump's going to win in a landslide. So they blowtorch it out there. Put him on a megaphone. They literally drive around in the Blues Brothers car with the fucking, you on the water skis, those two girls. And it's ladies' night. And they're just broadcasting lies over and over. He's going to win. He's so far ahead. He's so far ahead. He's going to win. So then if she wins, and I think she will, he gets to say, no, man, all the polls said I was winning. And it's the same shit we've been through. And then the next step is hoping that the senators and the House of Representatives and everybody comes out in a way where it gets certified. And again, I understand people's agony over that. I don't know. I truly don't know what's going to happen. What I think will happen is I think she wins again. She wins the popular vote for sure. And I think she wins by a pretty decent margin. I say 3 points, like 52-49 if you want to go that route. I actually think it could be worse, but who knows? I could be misreading everything, I don't know, but it really felt like there were a lot of young people. And although I'll tell you this, in Nevada, I don't know if you saw this. They said young people were voting like motherfuckers in Nevada. Like the lines were crazy, but they were having problems because these kids don't cure their ballots by signing it because kids aren't used to signing anything with a signature. Nobody writes checks anymore. Nobody does any of that. And so the last I heard was a couple hours ago, and they were trying to call the kids who submitted these ballots to get them back to sign it because they won't count if they don't sign it. And I was like, that's a fucking nightmare. Like if that's real, I don't fucking know. And because who knows? Again, I don't believe anything on the internet. I told you this. I don't believe any reports. There are people, because there were people yesterday who were like, she's fucking blowing him out. It's a landslide. And early voting indicates this. And there are people who are like, again, he's saying he's destroying her and she's getting crushed. And I don't fucking know, man. We'll see what happens. And you know what? That's 4 words that are terrifying right now, certainly in this instance. We'll see what happens because none of us really know. I think I know, but even if it comes out the way I think, they're going to fight it and fight it and fight it probably again until January. And then you have to hope that people do the right thing and certify it because I don't understand otherwise. I don't, because that will be a flashpoint where people just go, what the fuck is happening here? And I don't know if we want to get to what the fuck is really happening here because I'm not sure we survive. What the fuck is happening here? So you guys can get me at Mike at MikeSchmidtComedy.com. I thought about doing a sequel to this. Maybe we'll see what the day brings. I'm going tonight. I'm picking Pat up at the airport. We're watching a movie and paying attention to, we'll see how long we keep the movie on because I know him, and trying to pay attention to the results and see what happens. But, I know what I want to happen. I know what I think should happen. And I know what I think in a just world would happen. We'll see. You guys can get me at Mike@MikeSchmidtComedy.com. So I don't know if I'll have an episode tomorrow. Jesus Christ, shut the fuck up. I don't know if we'll do another one tomorrow. We might. Or sometime, maybe in a couple days this week. Who knows? Again, because I got to drive a ton. And when we get back to regular broadcasting, and I'll tell you exactly what the fuck it is. You know what? I'm going to have to check with the Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association to see if they're in favor of me doing another show this week. So blame them if it doesn't show up. You guys can get me at Mike@MikeSchmidtComedy.com. You can be my friend at Facebook.com/The40-Year-Old-Boy. You can follow me at Twitter.com/The40-Year-Old-Boy or X.com/The40-Year-Old-Boy. I'm at Instagram, Snapchat, and what's the other? TikTok at Mike40YOB, Mike40YOB. Follow me there. Remember, I got a Twitch channel. I'm not on it a lot, but if you want to go ahead and follow me there, that's great, because eventually I will be back. Twitch.tv/The40-Year-Old-Boy. Oh, and other podcasts. Paranoid Strain. I'm sure whatever happens, he's going to make hay out of it. He's going to make great fucking content and great shows about whatever the fuck happens, because he's a genius. So go listen to our buddy Fearful Jesuit over there at the Paranoid Strain. And I also know David is going to be doing amazing things. Maybe he'll write a ballad, the ballad of Kamala Harris, or perhaps he'll write the ballad of Kamala, the Ugandan giant. Why not? That's the Phlegmcat Podcast. That's available where your best podcasts are found. The Phlegmcat Podcast, the Paranoid Strain Podcast. Go ahead and find those. And I'm at Twitch.tv/The40-Year-Old-Boy. Also, I'm at YouTube.com/The40-Year-Old-Boy. You can go ahead and find that. It's a TV station I own that I never use. Go ahead and check that out, YouTube.com, and follow me there, again, because who knows, I might show up. The archives of this show are there, although I don't know if last week's made it up, because I didn't contact KC, who was doing it, and I haven't talked to him in forever, and he probably just went, fuck this guy, and I don't blame him. So Twitch.tv/The40-Year-Old-Boy, YouTube.com/The40-Year-Old-Boy, and also I'm in the Misfit Toys Co-op, so go ahead and give a listen to Never Not Funny over there, and then all of the shows that come under their umbrella. I don't know what they are, but I'm sure they exist and are fantastic. I don't know what's changed, what hasn't. I have not been involved in the meetings, but I'm sure the hubbub and the hullabaloo over there at Misfit Toys Co-op is a good vibe, so check it out. All right, and you know what, man? We'll see if next time I come to you, it's going to be a very different world. Certainly a very different country. Either we have the first female president in the history of this country, or we have only the second non-consecutive presidential term holder in the history of our country. Hold on, there's a kamikaze about to dive into my building. All right, never went. Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me today, quite frankly. All right, man, if you haven't voted yet, if you're in line, stay in line. From what I understand, if you're in line, you still get to vote. And if you have voted, I hope it goes your way, unless you voted against me, in which case I hope it doesn't go your way. And when I come back to you, we'll have much to discuss. Or wouldn't it be great to not have anything to discuss? What about that? What if the next time I did a show, there was nothing to talk about in this area? Everything, just birds chirping, like emerging from a fallout shelter when there wasn't a blast, and you just get to come back out to a perfect world of bluebirds. Wouldn't that be fucking fantastic? God, what a great day that would be. All right, love you guys. Talk to you soon.
If there's anything I like more than me, it's people who like me. I love me, but if you love me, I love you. 'Cause you know why, we both love me. How great am I? Let's talk about that for a while, and by a while, I mean forever.
Shopify's point of sale system helps you sell at every stage of your business. Need a fast and secure way to take payments in person? We've got you covered. How about card readers you can rely on anywhere you sell?
Thanks, have a good one.
Yep, that too. Want one place to manage all your online and in-person sales? That's kind of our thing. Wherever you sell, businesses that grow with Shopify. Sign up for your $1 a month trial at shopify.com/listen. Shopify.com/listen.